Hello again. This is John Burroughs. I am going to be doing my 14th podcast. It is called Corona Dash Your True Colors. Um, in this podcast, I am going to make an urgent plea to everyone out there. Um, and I hope that by the end of this podcast, that you take some of my suggestions seriously and go about doing them. Um, so I'll kind of get into this because it's very discouraging. First of all, I want you to know that I'm in what they call a high risk category. So if you're talking about panic, yes, I'm panicked inside. But you can be panicked and you can't always be strong, but you can always be brave. So I'm going to first tell you a little story that got me thinking about doing this podcast. When I was younger, around 19 years old, I was a pretty good nine-ball player, pool player. In fact, I knew some of the best pool players in the state. I've played with them and against them. And I also knew and hung out with probably one of the top 10 pool players in the world. But we used to hang out together and, do our gambling, enter our tournaments and do those type of things. And it was all about, trying to make some money at a sport that you loved. And then, of course, a bunch of us would go out to dinner. When I say a bunch of us, maybe 4 or 5 people, would go out to dinner at a particular restaurant, usually Italian or something where it's relatively cheap, like pizza or Chinese or something like that. And normally, there was a guy with the nickname of the freeloader. And in pool circles, there were all sorts of nicknames for all sorts of people. But the freeloader used to come along almost every time we went out to dinner. So one day we went out to this Italian restaurant, and we were all sitting around eating pizza, having some garlic bread. And we were talking, and we were nearing the end of the meal. So we looked at the bill, and everyone chipped in their fair share of the bill. And then the waitress came and got the bill. And then we all looked at it, and everyone chipped in their fair share of the tip. Now, as we exited the restaurant, the freeloader, as he was called, said, "Oh, God, shit, I got to go to the bathroom, man. I got to go bad. I'll be right back." So he goes into the bathroom, and he's called a freeloader for a reason. But it just kind of aroused my suspicions. And I happened to look in through the window of the restaurant as we were walking towards the car we were going to take to go back to the pool hall we hung out in. And there was the freeloader at our table taking all of our tips before the waitress could ever get to him. And I said to myself, even back then, what a little piece of garbage that guy is, stealing from his quote-unquote friends. And, when you're young like that, you let it pass, you don't think about it, okay? But it started me thinking, especially about doing this podcast. And as I grew older, I noticed that there were certain things that make a good adult, and there are certain things that make a bad adult. And one of the things about being a good adult is to be a contributing member of society in both good times and bad times. It doesn't matter how or what you contribute, long as you contribute to the benefit of your fellow human beings. it will have a ripple effect. And that will go through, that ripple effect will reach other people, and it'll have a nice effect on the world. There's also those other people that I will call serpents in the grass, that they do their best chance at not being noticed. So having said all that, here we are, faced with the coronavirus, something that's unprecedented in my lifetime. And my lifetime spans 70 years. And we've been through epidemics and that type of thing before. And yes, we've always been resilient, and we've seemed to pull out of it. And I'm very glad that in today's world, on TV and everything, we have the opportunity to celebrate heroes. Heroes meaning those type of people that do extraordinary things, or just in their everyday course of life contribute wherever they can. So it doesn't matter how much or what you contribute, long as you contribute something to society. So for example, a hero could be someone that runs into a burning house and saves a family. A hero could do many things, but what a hero does is to sacrifice for the good of the whole. So now I'm going to try and avoid getting angry here, and I'm going to try and avoid to remain calm. And here's my plea. I am going to ask you that, obviously I'd love you to subscribe, but it's far more important than that. I'm going to ask you, that is, whoever listens to this podcast, pass it on to each and every person you know, and ask them to pass it on to each and every person they know. Because what happens so often in times of great adversity, the heroes step up and the serpents start sliding in the grass. And what I mean by that is, you've all seen it on television, you've all heard it on the news, you've all seen it on your computers, on YouTube, or whatever you look at. You've all heard about it on the social media websites, how people are flocking into the supermarkets and taking toilet paper, paper towels, sanitizer. Even though there's a limit on this stuff, no one's paying attention to the limit, including the cashiers. They could care less. But even though there's a limit on this stuff, they go and they come out with cartloads of these paper products. Now, if it's a limit per family, what I've seen when I've been out there, and I rarely go out, I see cartloads of paper products, and if the average American family now consists of 16 people, then okay, maybe those cartloads are justified. But let's face it, the average American family doesn't have 16 people in it. So these people are hoarding. They're serpents in the grass. They're people that don't care about their fellow human beings. And the sad thing about it is it's not necessary. If we just all keep our cool, people can get what they need. But unfortunately, like a lot of laws, they're so hard to police. And there's really, I guess, not a law of people buying as much of what they want to buy. I don't know, except that in a time of tremendous crisis and adversity, there should be a law. Whether there is or not, I don't know, I don't care. But here's what I'm asking of you. If you have a friend that's doing it, make sure he's no longer your friend. If you have a friend that's in a particular group of friends that you hang out with, make sure everyone in that group knows that he or she is doing this. If you notice someone with cartloads of goods to last a lifetime, make sure you let them know that they're not helping society in any way, shape, or form. Look, I don't condone violence in any way, so I'm not asking anyone to be violent. But what I'm asking is this. These people that are doing these things, that don't care about anybody but themselves, are the people that are going to help spread the virus when other people with it run out of the necessary antiseptics and things you need to keep the spread down. And these people never seem to be brought to justice. And when I say brought to justice, once again, I want people to make sure I'm not condoning violence. But I want people to understand that times like these, you're going to see the true colors of people. And what I mean by true colors, when the next tragedy or whatever comes along, those are the very same people that are going to do it again unless they feel the pain of being ostracized from our society. So if you know of someone in your neighborhood that's doing it, get it in the neighborhood newsletter. Let your entire neighborhood know it, and let them know that you feel that he should be ostracized. Just ignored. Just have no social friends, whatever. That the only people that will talk to him, if any, would be their family. And in fact, if I had someone like that in my family, I'm sorry, I'd show him the door. So, this is a short podcast, and the reason why I'm making it short is hopefully you guys will understand the urgency of my message and get it to as many people as you can, and make people realize, make those serpents in the grass realize that they are not going unnoticed, and they will pay the price of not being included in normal, everyday social activities that society usually carries on when we're not in a crisis situation. They deserve it because they're causing tremendous pain and agony and sorrow, especially to the families of those with high-risk people who may already have it. Okay? So it's time, once again, learn to love each other, okay? Just call me a hippie, call me what you want to call me, but I'm calling out to those who listen to this to spread the word. Let people, the people that do these things, know that you're watching and that you're telling your networks of people to watch for them and to kind of ostracize them from society. And this also goes for those wonderful people that you see on the internet that are now selling you toilet paper for the very reasonable price of $25 a roll. Or maybe the person that's having a toilet paper war, and he'll sell it for $21 a roll. What a country we live in, huh? What a great time we live in. So anyway, I really can't say much more about it other than if I don't sign off pretty soon, I'm going to be brought to tears because, my stepfather was in a position in his working life where he was responsible for hundreds of people in situations where if something should happen, like a disease breakout or some other catastrophe, he had a book of procedures and operations on what he should do in order to protect his people. He was responsible for their lives. And more often than not, he was not near any medical facilities if something like this were to break out. So he's the one that taught me what it takes to be a contributing member of society. And even if you don't, even if these people don't get the justice that is due to them, and once again, non-violent justice, even if they don't get it, I don't care what you believe, they'll answer for it someday. Someday they will have to answer for it, and it will hurt them beyond whatever they can imagine. Anyway, please hear my plea. Please spread this around. John Burroughs signing off. Get it out there. Thanks very much.